and particularly we're looking at hydropower and the Water Climate Energy Nexus. And here we are in the SDG Pavilion, and for those of you who are very, very familiar with all of these, you will know that this is one of the topics which covers many, many of the SDGs. We're talking SDG 6 on clean water. We're talking SDG 7 on affordable and clean energy. We're talking SDG 8 on decent work, decent work and economic growth, and 11 on sustainable cities and communities, 13 on climate action. I would also add to that, actually, 17 on partnerships. So this really is one of the ones which does across all of them. We're all sitting on chairs with 4 legs. I guess we're talking particularly about a 3-legged stool of water, energy and climate, but it could be about a 15-leg stool when you include, food and agriculture and in industry and work and communities and all the things that I hope we're going to talk about. I'm Eddie Rich. I'm the CEO of the International Hydropower Association. We are global voice for sustainable hydropower. We have a pavilion down the road there, which is the Global Renewables Hub. And that's because we're part of the Global Renewables Alliance with our friends from wind and solar and geothermal, long duration energy storage and hydrogen. But a lot of people come there, they're talking about energy only. And a lot of people say we should be technology agnostic when it comes to energy. And I agree with that. Who does not say technology agnostic? But at the same time, I'm thinking about hydropower. Is this better? Yeah, okay. The thing about hydropower is it's much more than just energy. And that's what I really want to explore with my excellent guests, my senior and very knowledgeable guests today. So we have Eva Kremer from UNIDO. We have the Deputy Minister of Energy and Water Resources in Tajikistan, Honorable Jamshed Shamozzoda. And we have Flavia Teixeira from Angie, Brazil. Let me first of all turn to Deputy Minister Jamshed Shamozzoda. And who here has been to Tajikistan? A few. I hope the people here who are from Tajikistan also. So Tajikistan is a fantastic environment for hydropower because it has the 2 things you really need. Massive mountains and a large amount of water. And it's exciting to see your plans to be sort of a power hub for the whole region. But the challenge is, it's also a very fragile environment. Your pavilion is opposite ours, and I see it's called the glacier, the focus on glaciers. So in such a fragile environment, tell us, what are the challenges that you have in trying to develop the hydropower potential? Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Eddie, for the floor, and very good morning for all of us. And I use this opportunity to invite in Tajikistan. Just he see just only one hand, and I think that is a good opportunity to visit us because next year we have a big conference regarding the glacier because it's our initiative, our president's initiative to announce by UN General Resolution 2025 the year of the glacier protection. And we are very active in the global agenda regarding the water issues, and because we thinking that SDG 6 is very important because it's very linkages to others. Because we're understanding that without water we don't have agriculture, we don't have social economic development, we don't have industry also, and we don't have clean energy because just imagine just for solar panels we still need water to wash them. And that's why it's very linkages, and unfortunately to achieve this targets SDG 6 by last water UN conference shows that we should 4 times active our speed up our activity to achieve it, and it means that it's very difficult to realize. Regarding the energy, you also mentioned that in case of Tajikistan, it's under one umbrella, because more than 90% we are developing from our energy comes from the hydro, and we have also one jokes in Tajikistan that if the agriculture will be also under ministry, it will be we can change the name of the ministry, Minister of Nexus. But our potential is very huge, and we also understanding that it's potential not just only for Tajikistan, it's a potential for the region, because if we will be develop well our potential in hydro, we can cover of demand of Central Asia 4 times, and also more than 1-2 times of South Asia. We're already starting in the finish line to starting export clean energy to Pakistan and Afghanistan. It's our contribution for the climate change also, because they're using this green energy and reducing using the oil and coal, and it's our contribution for the regional ecological aspect. But at the same time, as you mentioned, we have to build any hydropower station is big challenging. 2 days before, we have very interesting meetings regarding pumping stations, pumping reservoirs. And there was a minister from Romania mentioned that it's very difficult to build anything in the UAE. Yeah? It means that the requirement increasing 2-3 times. In case of Tajikistan, the same. We are trying to be to follow also safety requirements and also ecological requirements. And we honorably inform you that we are on the finish line to attract more than $1 billion for our donor organization, including the World Bank. And you just imagine how the World Bank have what ecological requirement have the World Bank, and we are following it because we thinking that it's not just only for us. We are doing for the region. We want to have some specific developing our potential. Not just only focus for the needs of country, but needs of the region. And at the same time, in Tajikistan, 60% of the Central Asia water resources generate in Tajikistan. And we are upstream countries there, and we are understanding we are very unique geography. In the north of Tajikistan, we 100% downstream countries. In the south of Tajikistan, we are fully upstream countries. It's bring us to situations that we should follow all rules. At the same time, we understanding that the role of the hydro is much more now, becoming more, because renewable energy is developing, and we just only hydro reservoirs can provide good technical control, the frequency, peak hours, and it will be also the key elements for development renewable energy in the region. Because we all understand that it's very important to have sustainable energy, but just only in the mix, in the tool of all these elements should be in the one line to provide the sustainable energy. At the same time, as I mentioned, we're upstream countries, and we also have obligation to provide the water to the downstream countries. We have unique mechanism in Tajikistan, in the Central Asia. It was working last 32 years after the Soviet Union collapse. We decided 5 countries of Central Asia to establish special water intercommission, and we are meeting every year 2-3 times. I'm just coming back from the Ashgabat through the COP, because we have meeting regarding the between seasons, how we can the quantity of the water, the quantity of the energy, and quantity of that. Our cooperation should indicate the next 6 months. I mean that we have a lot of challenging, but we also have a lot of ambition, because challenging make us stronger, for sure, and at the same time increasing our knowledges. For example, our Ragun projects in Tajikistan, we are on the finish line to finish our project, which not just only it's a regional project. It's what will be one of the highest dam in the world, 335 meters, and 3,600 megawatts is a huge. And we say that this project was not just only infrastructure project for Tajikistan for the region, it also was capacity building project, because we are learning a lot of, and we are following the worldwide procedure. We are using this opportunity, and I think that it will be one of the good example for the region how we can follow ecological environment, social protection, water resources, how we can deal with this, and at the same time energy, clean energy for the sustainable development. And in case of Tajikistan, in case of the region, we have fully common understanding that for the development we need four elements. One of the sustainable energy, water resources, and environmental and protections, and finally regional understanding of the needs. And now we have good situations that in our region we fully understand the political willingness in the very good conditions, and we find with our development partner all sustainable approach how we can develop on a huge energy potential. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. I want to congratulate Tajikistan. Tajikistan has really committed itself to making sure that its hydropower development is sustainable. It was the first project to achieve the hydropower sustainability standard, which is an independent assessment of the environmental, social and governance requirements of project, was achieved by SEPSA project in Tajikistan, and there's been a lot further work, capacity building within the country to understand its further developments, making sure that is sustainable. And part of that is the climate resilience, and you make a really important point there, that you're working in a fragile environment. We are facing a situation where we're going to see more floods, particularly glacial flooding, because of the changing environment. We need to make sure the infrastructure is resilient. And the irony is, we will need, whether we like it or not, more water infrastructure, not less. And where you can power it, you might as well power it. So we go from that big picture on big infrastructure. I want to now turn to Eva from UNIDO. And UNIDO have been really leading the research on small hydropower and the linkages between small hydropower and communities and water resources and development that can come to the communities from that. Can you paint us a picture of how smaller hydropower is developing and how it links to communities and the nexus with energy climate?
Thank you, Adi. And thank you, International Hydropower Station, for organizing this important event. As Adi was asking, how water resources could be shared sustainably. And it's obvious, everyone needs water. It's domestic use, it's industry, it's agriculture, it's energy, and it's ecosystems. So we usually took, also this event speaks about food, water, energy nexus, but there is so much more there. And we need to, when we plan our projects, we need to take into account everything. Also, I didn't mention, but also indigenous people. So our projects should be people-oriented. So it is a great challenge to plan projects sustainably. Therefore, a partnership between organizations, research organizations, international organizations, NGOs, you name it, is really important. And that's why we are here also, to speak with you and speak between ourselves, so we can strengthen our partnership. I'm being asked, why do we need hydropower? Why do we need small hydropower? If we have the global change, we have a climate change, we have scarcity of water, why do you need small hydropower? Let's focus on solar, let's focus on wind. That's more sustainable. I cannot agree with that. We need all renewable energies if we want to achieve SDGs. The truth is that we need to plan better. Again, also small hydropower. So if it's there are regions with increased potential. For example, Northern Europe, Central Asia, for next 25 years, increased potential on small hydropower, at least because of the glacier melt. Other regions, like North Africa, unfortunately decreased potential in long run. However, nevertheless, you need to plan small hydropower based on the future needs and plans. You cannot just focus on current participation or current potential. You need to look for 10, 20, 100 years if we have the data, right? So we assume that we trust the data we have and need to take into account when planning the projects. So how hydropower can help adapt to climate change and help other nexuses. So in the case of floods, it is quite a big challenge. Many people speak about water scarcity, but not so many about water quality. When there's floods, there's contamination. There's biological contamination, there's chemical contamination of water, and you need clean water for both for domestic use, you need clean water for agriculture, for irrigation. You cannot irrigate your plants using contaminated water. For that, you need filtration. For that, you need energy. Here you go. So small hydropower can provide adaptation for rural areas, help to clean water. That's one aspect. Dryness. For example, there's not enough water. You have pumped storage. Small hydropower ideal for the rural areas to use excess energy when there is, to pump storage, and that would help both for energy resilience and water resilience. This helps both agriculture, domestic use, industries. Heat waves. You need energy. You need help people, need help industries, production, how to store goods you produce, how to cool yourself. You need a cooler, you need refrigerators, how you go to the hospitals, how you can vaccinate kids if you don't have coolers. So it's all interconnected. And of course, for cold, you need heating. For heating, if you don't want to burn wood, and we don't, you need electricity. And storms. You see that many solar and wind farms are destroyed by strong winds, while hydropower, quite properly planned hydropower, resilient hydropower, are quite sustainable. They can withstand really strong winds. So all of those aspects make hydropower a very good technology. Of course, I believe that all renewable energy should work together. We need the hybrid systems. That would be the best option, because if we don't have water so much, we have solar, we can pump it up, right? So there's I could go on and on and on how everything is interconnected and how difficult it is to plan holistically a project. But that's why we are here. UNIDO is here. We are trying our best to look on all aspects and help countries like Tajikistan to develop sustainable small hydropower for real development. So what are the lessons learned? As I'm coming myself from Latvia, it's North Europe, and we have a lot of small hydropower developed lately. Unfortunately, it was not well planned small hydropower. Therefore, there's negative connotation in my country, and rest of the potential stays untapped because it's not possible to develop hydropower anymore. I haven't heard any small hydropower plant built in the last 15 years. And there's nothing in the pipeline because of this badly built small hydropower previously. People don't want small hydropower as they see that it's destroying ecosystems. I cannot stress enough a good planning. And of course, training local population. It's important because you can build the perfect plan, perfect system, but if you don't have local expertise who can manage, it's waste, it's not sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. That was quite a shocking sort of moment about when you talk about Latvia, your own country. It used to be a lot of small hydro, and then it stopped because it had been badly built. So that key lesson about needing to plan and needing to plan holistically is really, well, that was a key message I took from it. There is a great, sometimes people say, small hydropower, we should just do it because it has less of an environmental impact. But there we hear, hey, no, you need to still be careful. It doesn't mean you need heavy licensing systems, but it does need to be rigorous to make sure that there is no impact. This is what the Hydropower Sustainability Standard that I spoke about before. It can apply to large or small. Indeed, for the International Hydropower Association, we say we don't care about large, we don't make a distinction between large hydro and small hydro. We don't make a distinction between new hydropower and brownfield, modernization. We don't really make a distinction between off-river and on-river hydropower. The only distinction we make is between sustainable hydropower and non-sustainable hydropower. But perhaps before I turn to Flavia, I can just ask you one follow-up question, Eva. You talked about all the lessons from small hydropower, but where's the data? Are we see a bad picture in Latvia? Globally, are we seeing more, and what needs to happen to unlock that?
So there's, based on our report, 64% of small hydropower potential is still available and untapped. The greatest potential is in Asia. And if you look region by region, it is East Asia or China has the greatest potential, but they are already, half of it is already utilized. While Central Asia is largely untapped. So the largest available potential is in Central Asia, followed by Southeast Asia and Northern Europe. So what we need expertise, we need a policy framework to develop, and of course funding. But another thing that is less talked is about the understanding of what hydropower and small hydropower services could do. Therefore, I would say that it is a mix of things. You need to speak in sessions like here. You need to go out and produce knowledge products. You need to do publications and speak with governments and explain what they need. Try to help them understand what are the challenges, what are the barriers. And that's why UNIDO has developed a small hydropower service package that helps countries to access their potential.
Thank you. And I do encourage everybody to go to the UNIDO guidelines, technical guidelines and policy guidelines on small hydropower. And I also encourage you to go to the UNIDO 2022 small hydropower status report, because that gives that broad picture and refers to a lot of where we do see considerable untapped potential. Thank you, Eva. Can I turn next to Flavia Teixeira from Angie, Brazil, and we go again to the other end of the scale, because Angie has developed many project sites for hydropower, almost exclusively what we would call large hydropower, and in Brazil. And when you're building and planning large hydropower, you can imagine what you're talking about in terms of impact on communities, on areas, on water ecology systems. So can I turn to you, Flavia? Give us an example. Maybe Girau is a very large project that you've developed recently. And how did you plan for those major impacts on a huge number of people?
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you for having me here today. And thank you to my colleagues of the panel and all the people we have here listening to us. Well, it's a huge responsibility to develop a massive project as Girau and others that we have in Brazil. Just to present, ENGIE is a French-originated company that we are in Brazil for 28 years, and we now run 105 power plants, 13 of them hydropowers, and the other solar and wind and biomass. So we are now 100% renewable in Brazil. And we have been achieving many recognition due to the standards and to the practice that we've been developing for 28 years. We have a goal to develop until 2030, 90 gigawatts worldwide. And one point that I would like to mention is that when we talk about all these goals that we've been committing in COP and other frameworks and other global agreements, we must understand the peculiarities of each country, of each region that we are acting. So in Brazil, we have 60% of our energy come from hydropower. And we still have 40% of our potential to develop. And there is a long time we don't talk about hydropower in Brazil, developing new hydropower, and we still have to discuss much better the potential of hydropower and pumped storage and small and medium and large hydropower. We only in 2023, Brazil started operating 200 new wind and solar power plants. And now what we are facing in northeast of Brazil is the curtailment. We have no infrastructure to bring this energy to the rest of the to the rest of the company. So that's something that we must look at after, is the storage and the flexibility that hydropower provide to these intermittent sources when we increase the projects only that we consider today wind and solar. So it's a huge responsibility. You asked about how we develop it. Brazil has a peculiarity that we are investor and we develop projects and we operate power plants. But in Brazil, all the development, the multiple uses, and all the aspects of the project, the basic project is developed by the government. So when they launch the auction, the companies that are competing to this potential hydro potential, they know exactly what they should do, because the project, of course we can change some aspects, but all the river basin project, all the multiple uses program, and what it's expected to do with all these water sources is already predicted by the government. So anyway, we managed to improve significantly the project. As I told you before, we discovered that in the beginning of the project that if we change it, I think it was kind of 10 kilometers, the place of the dam, we reduce it, we increase it, the efficiency, and reduce it significantly the excavation necessary comparing to the previous project from the government. So we had all this challenge to bring everyone again together to discuss the project so that we could achieve all these allowances and the licenses to build Jirau as that. Jirau is in Madeira River. I don't know if you heard about it. Madeira River is the largest contributor to the Amazon River. We are talking about 3.2 kilometers of river, starting at Bolivia and ending at Amazon River. 1.2 million quarter kilometers of basin. Its basin, it's 1.4 quarter kilometers. And in Brazil, we are responsible for monitoring and supporting government in the management of a huge area around the dam. Only schools, we have built 20 schools, we have built 11 hospitals, security points, stops for policies and all security control of the state government and even federal government, because we are in the frontier with Bolivia. So there are many responsibilities that we face when we build a project as that. We didn't impact much. It was a region, although in Amazon, it was a region that was already explored for more than 115 years when we started the project. So we had already a presence of a human presence there. We didn't impact any indigenous community. And we avoided, and it was certified. Now we are discussing CDM, the end of CDM, who is following the debates of the how to transitionate the credits from CDM to Paris Agreement protocol. It's sad that we see that all this investment that was done during the last 20, 24, almost 30 years of clean development mechanism is being disconsidered. And when we are talking about investment, we are started Paris Agreement talking about 100 billions that we need to face the mitigation and goals. Most of it come from the private sector. It's not the government. The government are making pledges and telling the private sector where to invest it. So ENGIE emitted its first carbon credit under Kyoto Protocol in 2004. And Jirau was responsible to avoiding 6 million tons of carbon in the atmosphere each year since then. It was the largest project registered under UNFCCC. And now they say, forget it. Let's start a new mechanism. And believe it, you'll be refunded for that. That's a message that I would bring. We are talking about 100 million a year we pay only for the government, for the use of the water. We are talking about dozens of millions of reals we pay every year to 29 social programs. In 2015, we received these malaria champions recognitions because since we started studying the areas and bringing education programs, 8,000 workshops with the communities, the Rondônia state was seized from the list of the highest risk of malaria transmissions. So there are many things I could say, but to start, these are some topics I'd like to highlight.
Thanks. I really want to congratulate ENGIE Brazil, the Jirau project itself, because the Jirau project, if Sebsol was the first hydropower sustainability standard project, Jirau is the largest, 3.75 gigawatts. Imagine that, right? So, and imagine, we've heard the figures from Flavia about the size of the project, the impact that has, and to make sure that all of the requirements, and they are rigorous, they are hard, they are aligned with World Bank requirements and beyond. They are aligned with green bonds requirements and beyond, right? And they got a gold standard against that on one of the most complex environments. And can I say how interesting it is in Brazil, because unlike Tajikistan, the energy and the water ministries and all the other ministries are not so aligned. They do not have a ministry of the nexus. We got about 2 minutes left. Apologies, we've taken a lot of time, but this has been a good conversation. Is there any urgent questions from the audience? Want to open this up for anything that anybody wants to ask? Yes, Sasha in the audience, please.
Hi, everyone. I don't know how urgent this will be and how fast you'll be able to answer, but Eva, you spoke about how you mentioned how some regions are growing in potential for hydro, but also I feel like the Water Climate Nexus means that some regions are drying out, and I don't know if any of you have examples maybe that you can share of adaptation or things you are planning for in the future when water levels may go down.
Thank you. Eva.
Thank you for your question. It's a really interesting one, and actually, I'm doing my PhD on Nexus and small hydropower. So this is a topic I really like because there's not so much literature out there about that. There's plenty of issues how larger scale hydropower can help to adapt, but not so much about small hydropower. So my research, my findings, how small hydropower can help is, if you were speaking about drying, right? So drying issues. So it's pumped storage. So you have reserve of water out there. One thing. Another thing, you need to plan smaller hydropower turbines. Even if the potential now is large, you need to think in advance and maybe combine larger and smaller together. For example, if the larger ones are not functioning enough, you have a smaller one who can still provide electricity, much needed electricity. Another thing would be modernization and monitoring ecological flow. This is really important. I think I forgot to mention in my talk, but this is a really key aspect, especially if you speak about transboundary rivers. So if you don't take all water, in case downstream, there is ecological catastrophe. So of course, small hydropower cannot solve climate change, but it can help. It can help to adapt. It can help to, well-built small hydropower can help to make people's lives better. But unfortunately, it's not the only solution. There should be multiple holistic approaches if we want to fight climate change. But small hydropower definitely a tool. It helps to mitigate and it helps to adapt.
Thank you. Any final words from the other speakers? No? Oh, yeah. Okay, Flavia.
Just about your question, in 2019 we applied the resilience guideline from Hydropower Association at Geral. It proved to be resilient to 5 extreme scenarios, and we have already provided the vulnerability assessment in all the power plants in Brazil, and also have the action plan for all of them regarding adaptation. So that's something that we've been studying because Brazil is a tropical country. It's one of the most vulnerable for climate change effects. So that's something that we've been doing.
Yeah, that I just want to mention regarding the case of Tajikistan that 1970s we have more than 1,000 small hydropower stations. But when the big energy comes, the small will be not so efficiently. Yeah? We fully destroy them, as a Norwegian case, for example, make the museum or schools. But finally, we now understanding that the technology is going down. For example, to build hydropower stations, is 10, 50 years ago, it was much costly. Now it's a little bit less. Technologies allow us. At the same time, we are thinking that it will be very interesting to have off-grid systems in the mountain villages, in the small patient or special industries, in the farms. I don't know. Now it's worked well in Tajikistan. Regarding the climate adaptation, you know that unfortunately the studies shows, for in case of Tajikistan, we are 10 pilot countries who reflect the climate change, and the study in Tajikistan shows that we should build the dam for the climate mitigation for the water resources, because any water resources impacts, climate change impacts come through the water. It's in Tajikistan case in 80%, in worldwide more than 70%. 70% is reflected through the water, or dry year or flood years. That's why the solution in this stage is just only have small hydropower station, have a dam for the control the water and flood. And the last case in Spain also shows that there just only one city with the dam was safety. But that's why we should be question not just only for us, for environment, the climate guy also, how we can mix, work together with all these aspects. Thank you.
Look, I just want to leave you with one key message. Here we are, we're talking about water, energy, and climate nexus, and we have a natural way of looking at this as a problem. But I think here you've heard about solutions, you've heard about some cases where that has been seen as an opportunity, and structurally it doesn't have a big advantage when they're all together in the same ministry. Thank you very much to the speakers, and a minister in your case. I want everybody just to thank the speakers, please. A round of applause. And also thank you very much as the audience. So thank you for a very good session. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.